Two people borrow money this year. By the time they're done, one of them is measurably richer for having done it. The other is measurably poorer. Same amount of discipline. Same kind of paycheck. The only thing that's different is a number neither of them has ever actually looked up, not the type of debt, not what it bought. One number. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to find that number on every loan you carry, and you'll watch it play out in two real, current, fully calculated examples. Not rounded for effect, not picked because they sound dramatic. Meet Priya and Marcus. Not the same household, not the same income, not the same spending habits. What they have in common is this. Both of them are currently carrying debt, and neither of them has ever sat down and run the math on it. By the end of this video, one of those gaps will have cost real money. We'll show you exactly how much. Strip away the labels, and every loan on earth is the same transaction. Someone gives you money today. You give it back later, plus a percentage. That's it. That's a credit card, a mortgage, a car loan, a federal government bond, and a margin loan against a stock portfolio. 5 different names for one mechanism. The personal finance industry loves sorting these into good debt and bad debt. Mortgages and student loans go in the good pile. Credit cards go in the bad pile. It's a useful starting heuristic for a teenager. It is not how money actually moves. Here's the rule that replaces it, and it's the only rule this entire video runs on. A debt makes you richer or poorer based on one comparison. Its interest rate against the return your money could otherwise earn, adjusted for the risk you'd have to take to earn it. That's the whole framework. Below that line, debt is cheap and your money is doing better elsewhere. Keep the debt, invest the difference. Above that line, killing that debt is the highest guaranteed return available to you, because a guaranteed return beats a probable one of similar size. Not what you bought, the rate against the risk-adjusted alternative. Priya pays every bill on the due date. She's never missed a payment in her life. She also carries about $6,500 on a credit card from month to month. Almost exactly the national average balance among people who revolve a balance, according to TransUnion. She's not unusual. As of the most recent Federal Reserve and Bankrate surveys, somewhere between 45 and 47% of cardholders carry a balance month to month. Priya isn't an outlier. She's the median. Her card's APR is 22%, squarely inside the range the Federal Reserve's own data shows right now. Just over 21% for accounts already carrying a balance, climbing into the low to mid-20s for new card offers. Here's what that 22% actually costs her, run properly, month by month, not estimated. She pays $170 a month toward it. At that pace, it takes her 67 months, about 5.5 years, to clear $6,500. Along the way, she pays $4,797 in interest. Total cost to retire a $6,500 balance, $11,297. She pays 73% more than she borrowed in interest alone on top of the original balance. Every one of those payments has been on time. None of it has ever felt like a crisis. That's exactly the problem. It never arrives as one. It just quietly costs her almost $5,000 she will never see again. Marcus also carries debt. He has a 30-year fixed mortgage at 6.4%, almost exactly today's national average, according to Freddie Mac's most recent survey. By the old good debt, bad debt sorting, that's the end of the analysis. Mortgage, therefore fine. But Marcus's defining habit isn't the mortgage. It's what he refuses to carry alongside it. No revolving card balance. No finance furniture. No buy now pay later stack. Whatever's left over each month goes into a brokerage account instead of sitting in checking or feeding a card balance, because there's no card balance to feed. Say Marcus invests $350 a month, a smaller, more modest number than you'll see in most of these examples, deliberately, because most people don't have $500 of slack lying around. At a 10% average annual return, the long-run nominal average of the S&P 500, confirmed across multiple independent sources going back to 1957. Here's what that becomes. In 8 years, $51,163. In 15 years, $145,065. In 25 years, for $164,392. I want to be straight with you about that last figure, the way this channel always is. That's the nominal number before inflation. Today's inflation rate recently measured 4.2% year over year, according to the most recent government report. For a 25-year projection, the more relevant figure is the long-run historical average, which is closer to 3% a year. Deflate that $464,000 by 3% annual inflation compounded over 25 years, and in today's purchasing power, it's worth approximately $221,800. Both numbers are true. The nominal number tells you what's in the account. The real number tells you what it can actually buy. Neither one is the exciting number dressed up. They're just the two honest ways to look at the same outcome. Now, here's a comparison, and I'm going to walk through the assumptions out loud, so you can check it yourself. Suppose Priya, the moment her card is paid off in month 67, start investing the same $350 a month Marcus has been investing since month 1. Same monthly amount, same 10% average return, same 25-year endpoint for both of them. Marcus, investing for the full 300 months, for $164,392. Priya, investing for 233 months, starting after a card is cleared, $248,409. The gap at year 25, $215,983. That gap has nothing to do with income. It has nothing to do with discipline. Priya never missed a payment either. It's a 67-month head start, compounding for 25 years. That's the entire mechanism. Run the math on your own numbers and you'll get a different dollar figure, but you'll find the same shape. Time inside the market is worth more than almost anything else you can do with that money, and every month spent paying down expensive debt is a month that Head Start doesn't exist yet. So where's the line? Using today's actual numbers, not estimates, not last year's data? Start with what to attack first. Credit cards carrying a balance are averaging 21 to 24% right now, according to Federal Reserve and major issuers. Personal loans are averaging around 13.5% on a typical 3-year term. Used car loans specifically are averaging 11.4%. That's worth separating from new car loans, because lumping them together hides a meaningful gap. Next is the gray zone, where the answer depends on context. New car loans are averaging 6.4%, and notice that's actually below Marcus's mortgage rate. So by the rate versus alternative rule, a new car loan today isn't automatically something to rush to pay off. Federal undergraduate student loans sit at 6.39% for the current academic year, fixed, with no market risk attached to the rate itself. And a 30-year mortgage at 6.4% is the same call Marcus made. Paying it down early is a guaranteed 6.4%, while investing instead is a probable, not guaranteed, 10% that includes real years of decline along the way. Below the line is anything fixed at roughly 5% or lower, with no risk of the rate climbing on you. Let that sit and invest the difference instead. Above that, into the gray zone, the right call starts depending on your own risk tolerance and timeline. One number sits outside this whole list and deserves its own mention: any 401k or workplace retirement match. A 50% match is a 50% instant, guaranteed return on day one, higher than even Priya's credit card. Capture that before optimizing anything else. Here's the detail that makes high-rate debt worse than it already looks, and makes paying it off better than it looks. When you invest and earn a return, the government takes a cut of the gain. When you erase a debt, you keep all of it, because eliminating an expense isn't taxable income. Paying off Priya's card isn't just avoiding a bill. It's a guaranteed, tax-free 22% return at zero market risk. Hold that against every other option available to her. The stock market's long-run average is 10%, and it's taxed, and it carries real risk. The best high-yield savings accounts right now pay around 4%. Compare that to national average savings account rate of just 0.4%, according to the FDIC. On $12,000 sitting in a typical bank savings account, that's $48 a year. The same $12,000 in a competitive high-yield account earns about $492, over 10 times as much for identical federally insured safety. The only variable in either of these comparisons is whether anyone bothered to check the number. There is no legal, available to a normal person investment that reliably and safely returns 22%. Eliminating high-interest debt often produces the highest guaranteed return available to most households, sitting in their own mailbox, disguised as a bill. You've probably heard that the wealthy use debt to get richer, that there's a trick locked away from everyone else. There's a fantasy version of this sold by people pushing a course. There's also a real version, and it's exactly the rule from this video, run at a much larger scale. It's called buy, borrow, die, and most explanations of it stop one step too early. The buy and the borrow parts are straightforward. Hold appreciating assets, stock, real estate, a business, without selling them, so no capital gains tax is triggered. When cash is needed, borrow against the asset at a low rate instead of selling it, and let the asset keep compounding. In May of this year, Jeff Bezos told CNBC he saw, quote, no truth, end quote, to the idea that he personally uses a strategy, but the mechanism itself is well documented, and other prominent figures, including Oracle's Larry Ellison, have pledged tens of billions in stock as loan collateral rather than selling it. Here's the part almost every explainer skips, and it's the actual reason the strategy has a third word in its name. When the asset's owner dies, their heirs inherit it at its value on that day, not at what was originally paid for it. Under current U.S. tax law, that's called a stepped-up basis, and it generally means a gain that built up over the owner's lifetime is no longer deferred. It's wiped out for tax purposes. That rule has been targeted for repeal in Congress before and could change, and very large estates may still owe separate state tax regardless. But as the law stands today, die isn't a grim afterthought in the name. It's a step that converts a temporary tax deferral into a permanent one, scaled down to a number a normal investor might actually face. Imagine you need $80,000, and $45,000 of that would be capital gains if you sold investments to get it. At a 15% capital gains rate, that's $6,750 in tax. Plus you give up all future growth on what you sold. Borrow the $80,000 instead against the portfolio at around 7.5%, a representative rate for a securities-backed loan, though actual rates vary by lender, while the investments keep compounding at 10%. You keep a 2.5-point spread, worth about $2,000 in the first year, and you defer the tax bill entirely. This carries real risk. If the market drops hard, the loan can be called forcing a sale at the worst possible time. It is not a strategy for someone without a cushion, but the mechanism is not exotic. It's the identical rate versus alternative rule Marcus is using on his mortgage, with more zeros and more risk attached. Pull up every debt you have. Write the actual rate next to each one, not what you remember it being. The number on this month statement. Rank them highest to lowest. Attack from the top until the decision stops being obvious. For many households, that's somewhere in the 5 to 7% range, depending on your risk tolerance, your timeline, and whether you already have an emergency fund in place. Below that range, stop attacking and start investing the difference instead. One exception, worth repeating because it's the easiest free money you'll ever get. Capture your employer's retirement match first, every time, regardless of what else is on the list. This isn't a secret the wealthy are hiding from you. It's a number sitting on a statement you already have. Priya's $216,000 gap with Marcus didn't come from a better job or bigger paycheck. It came from one unchecked number, compounding quietly for years. Check yours today. It takes less time than this video did.